Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narotamam Daivim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, the chapter Yashoda binds Lord Krishna, Canto 10, chapter 9, text 1 and 2. Shri Shukavacha Yekada Grihadashishu Yashodananda Gehini Karmantara Niyuktasu Nirmamanta Swayam Dhadi Yani Yani Hagitani Tadbalacharitani Cha Dadhi Nirmanthane Kale Smaranti Tanyagayata. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. You have anything for people to chant? Shri Shukavacha Ekada Grihadashishu Yashodananda Gehini Karmantara Niyuktasu Nirmamanta Swayam Dhadi Yani Yani Hagitani Tadbalacharitani Cha Dhadi Nirmanthane Kale Smaranti Tanyagayata. Shri Shukavacha Ekada Grihadashishu Yashodananda Gehini Karmantara Niyuktasu Nirmamantat Swayam Dhadi Yani Yani Hagitani Tadbalacharitani Cha Dhadi Nirmantane Kale Smaranti Tanyagayata. Shri Shukavacha. Shri Shukadeva Goswami said, Ekada, one day, Griha Dashishu, when all the maidservants of the household were otherwise engaged, Yashoda, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Gehini, the queen of Nanda Maharaja, Karma Antare, in other household affairs, Niyuktasu, being engaged, Nirmamanta, churned, Swayam, personally, Dadhi, the yogurt, Yani, all such, Yani, such, Iha, in this connection, Gitani, songs, Tadbala Charitani, in which the activities of her own child were enacted, Cha, and Dhadi Nirimantane, while churning the yogurt, Kale, at that time, Smaranti, remembering, Tani, all of them, in the form of songs, Agayata, chanted. Translation and purport. Shri Shukadeva Goswami continued. One day, when Mother Yashoda saw that all the maid servants were engaged in other household affairs, she personally began to churn the yogurt. While chanting, she remembered the childish activities of Krishna, and in her own way, she composed songs and enjoyed singing to herself about all those activities. Purport. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, quoting from the Vaishnava Toshani of Srila Sanatana Goswami, says that the incident of Krishna's breaking the pot of yogurt and being bound by Mother Yashoda took place on the Deepavali day or Deepamalika. Even today in India, this festival is generally celebrated very gorgeously in the month of Kartika by fireworks and lights, especially in Mumbai. It is to be understood that among all the cows of Nanda Maharaja, several of Mother Yashoda's cows ate only grasses of flavorful that the grasses would automatically flavor the milk. Mother Yashoda wanted to collect the milk from these cows, make it into yogurt, and churn it into butter personally, since she thought that this child Krishna was going to houses of neighborhood gopas and gopis to steal butter because he did not like the milk and yogurt ordinarily prepared. While churning the butter, Mother Yashoda was singing about the childhood activities of Krishna. It was formerly a custom that if one wanted to remember something constantly, he would transform it into poetry or have this done by a professional poet. It appears that Mother Yashoda did not want to forget Krishna's activities at any time. Therefore, she poeticized all of Krishna's childhood activities, such as the killing of Putana, Akasura, Shakatashura, and Trinavrata. And while churning the butter, she sang about these activities in poetical form. They should be the practice of persons eager to remain Krishna conscious 24 hours a day. This incident shows how Krishna conscious Mother Yashoda was. To stay in Krishna consciousness, we should follow such persons. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahiyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padana Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Since today is the beginning day of Kartik month and we are celebrating Vrata, I am saying, using the word, we are celebrating a Vrata. We are happy about the Vrata. Devotees like to take up the challenge of being put into a position where you have to make a choice of austerity in order to gain Krishna's attention. So I am calling it we are celebrating Kartik Vrata. Similarly, devotees are happy to actually take any pain, take any effort that is necessary if it will increase their Krishna consciousness, if it will contribute to their Krishna consciousness. Because what will actually happen is that it goes to their credit for doing something to glorify Krishna. You see, we are preparing for Kartik Vrata and we are setting our mood in the right direction. In other words, we are getting ready to make sure that we stick to what we take as a vow. Human life is also a life of a vow to actually take up the highest goal of life, Krishna consciousness, and not for settling anything less. Because that type of facility is given to you. Human life is meant for that facility. So that's why devotees, yes, I am meant to do that. I am meant to take a vow. I am meant to take an austerity. I am for that. This morning actually, when we were walking, I go for a morning walk. Today is Sunday, so the ground is filled with cricket teams. So many people playing cricket, at least some 15, 20 of them. Huge ground filled, and they have different type of wicket stumps. And they have different type of people playing it. And almost everybody is having all the necessary equipment for playing cricket. The guy who's a wicket keeper has got pads and gloves, and it's exciting. We're playing cricket here, just like Dhoni played and just like Tendulkar played, and we're all ready. All the costumes all ready. But when they were bowling, most of them are using a rubber ball. If you go and see, you'll say, I was wondering, why are you using a rubber ball? For a long time I've been wondering. So today they were walking with me. I said, why are you not using a full hard cricket ball? Then he was just smiling at me. Almost everywhere they are all using a rubber ball. But the costumes are all more than required for a rubber ball. Pads and gloves and this thing and everything. So it was very strange to me. I thought, this is interesting. That's very interesting. So it struck me, I'm just speaking to you now, it just struck me also there, that life is meant for playing hardball. Actually, Maya throws at you pakka, solid cricket ball only. It doesn't give you a rubber ball. You're equipped with gloves and everything for you to play the game of hardball. It will be thrown at you. If you're not prepared with gloves and pads and everything, you cannot play that game. But after preparing yourself, if you play a rubber ball game, then you're not utilizing the human form of life properly. It's not meant for playing rubber ball with all that costume and all the gloves and all the pads. Right? So the mood of a vow is, I'm getting ready to play the hard ball, to play what is required for me to get love of Krishna. That is preparation. That is preparation. That I'm getting ready. If you look at the bowler and you look at the bat, you look at the batsman is just tapping with his bat. He's getting ready to place the hard ball. And he does not know in which side it will come. How it will come, it will be an in swing, it will be a googly, it will be an off spin. You don't know which one it is. He has to judge it and he has to play it accordingly. So if you live life just like that, without actually focusing and doing what's necessary, then we will waste it. And the worst thing is to play rubber ball. With all the good facility that you have, you go for the low-hanging fruit, which is very easy to do. Put the rubber ball on me. Even if it hits me, it doesn't pain me. And even if I miss it, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't really matter. I am successful. You think it's an illusion. So, considering, I just feeling that we prepare ourselves to take a vow, and we should try to keep up that vow. Really speaking, for devotees, they are anyway taking a vow every day, in one sense. But on the time of Kartik, actually, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Prabhupada's movement, if we go deeper into understanding Krishna's pastimes, external austerity is one thing. Internal austerity is the real thing. The internal austerity is the focus of the subtle body on Krishna, focusing on Krishna. That I call as real hardball. That's called as real hardball. The focusing, nobody knows what you're doing inside you. Only you know. Externally, everybody knows what you're doing. You have a tilak, you have a kantimala, you sure must be doing great things in devotional life. You must be, because you got all the costume and everything together, isn't it? But real stuff is inside. So you see here in this shloka, that is shown. That's why Prabhupada is saying in the last, persons eager to remain Krishna conscious 24 hours a day. This incident shows how Krishna conscious Mother Yashoda was. To stay in Krishna consciousness, we should follow such persons. It's a very beautiful description of Yashoda and her absorption. You know, the simple word called absorption. She is absorbed in Krishna. And 24 hours a day is absorbed. You can wake them up any time in the night. I'll get up with Krishna and thoughts of Krishna only. You can poke them anywhere, they'll ooze with Krishna consciousness. Every pore of their body is oozing with Krishna consciousness. And that's what Prabhupada is saying. 24 hours a day thinking of Krishna. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha mayyarpita mano buddhir mame vaishyasi asamshayah. That you can see here. That's why these readings of Bhagavatam are very interesting. One is to hear the story. The other is, if you go deep into the shloka, you will see that what is being described there. This is what's the pulse of who is Mother Yashoda. So that's what we see here. Ye kada grihadashishu Yashoda nandagehini. Very nicely summarized by Shukadeva Goswami. And he is another great character. He is speaking about Mother Yashoda, means it must be super duper dripping with Krishna consciousness. So his interesting question asked by Parikshit, another very interesting person. Parikshit is asking a question. Excuse me, what did you say? That, Yashoda and Nanda perform a lot of penances to get Krishna as their son. In the previous chapter, you will see it will end like that. I don't know, I didn't read anything to prepare for this. But I remember that he has a very sharp question. Nanda kim akarod brahman shreya evam mahodayam Yashoda cha mahabhaga pappo yasya stanam harihi. Very deep question. Because he hears that Nanda and Yashoda perform lot of austerities. What was their name in previous life? No. It's Nanda and Yashoda. That Sutapa and Prishni is Devaki and Vasudev. Who knows? Mentioned here. I don't know. It's mentioned here, no? Their previous names, you know. Yeah. Drona and Dhara. It's mentioned here. Shri Sukovacha Drono Vasunam Pravaro Dharaya Bharyaya Saha Karishyamana Adeshan Brahmanastam Uvachaha. Shukadeva Goswami said to follow the orders of Lord Brahma, Drona and the best of the Vasus along with his wife Dhara spoke to Lord Brahma in this way. It's Drona and Dhara who performed austerities and got Krishna as their son. So Parikshit raises a very important question. It's so easy to get Krishna as son, is it? You can just perform some penances and get. So anybody can perform penance and get? That's what is his question. He immediately is asking that. Huh? Pardon? It is the previous chapter to Yashoda binds Krishna. Drona and Dhara, he is telling Shukadeva Goswami, Drona and Dhara perform pastimes. He is testing Parikshit. Actually, there's lots of things going on here. Well, this fellow will fall for it. By penances you can get Krishna. He will immediately ask, how is it possible to get Krishna as your son and perform such pastimes that Yashoda performed by simply doing some penances? He asks this question. Then he gets very happy and says, now I'll tell you why. That's why he starts Yashoda binding Krishna pastime. He's going deeper. You won't take it, right? You won't take that answer. You want something deeper. Normally, Parikshit knows it is not possible just to do penances and get Krishna as your son. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I mean, I can understand if you say Vishnu, if you say some other this thing like that. But to get Krishna, Vrindavana Krishna, Shyamasundara Krishna, the Supreme Absolute Truth, as your son, not just enough if you perform penances. Because Krishna himself saying that, Namam sadhayati yogo, you won't get me with yoga, you won't get me with swadhyaya, you won't get me with austerity. Yatha bhaktir mamorjita, just like you may get me with pure devotion. None of these other things you can get. So why is Shukadeva Goswami telling to Parikshit, you perform penances and you became the son? See how sharp Parikshit, he picked it up immediately. And he said, what did you say? How is it possible to get like that? That I'm searching the shloka. That's why I think, Kim Agarod Brahman, what is the so great thing that Yashoda did to have the Supreme Absolute Truth sucking milk from her breast? This is the question. It's a deeper question he's asking. Yashoda cha Mahabhaga Pappo yasya stanam hari. Yashoda ka Mahabhaga. What is that great fortune of that lady called Yashoda? That she was able to get the Supreme Absolute Truth suck her breast. Look at the question that is asked also. It's not simply asked in an ordinary way. Because the Supreme Absolute Truth has come as a small child and she's tying the child up. She's doing all sorts of things with the... How is it possible? Yasyalinde Param Brahma. You know, the Param Brahma is crawling around in Nanda Maharaja's courtyard. And what are you guys doing? Reading the Mahabharata and the Ramayana and the Vedas and everything. I am going there. That's a beautiful shloka that says. Some people are afraid of this scripture, some people are afraid of that. What is it? I forget the beginning. Yasyalinde, but I am going to go to that place where the Supreme Absolute Truth is crawling in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. This is the secret. Why is he crawling there? He is the Absolute Truth sought after by so many rishis and sages and everybody. And he is sitting here and sucking Yashoda Mai's breast. How is it possible? This is the deep question. How is it possible? By penance. How is it possible thing? Then Shukadeva Goswami gets, wow, very good question you asked. Now you are the real listener. You've been listening very carefully, that means, for 9 cantos. For 9 cantos, you have been hearing very carefully that you have been able to ask this question. That is when he says, I'll tell you, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai ki. So that is when he gets inspired to say this. I'm not reading those shlokas in the previous chapter. And he starts describing, who is this Yashoda, you know? She is able to do this to Krishna. I'll tell you about her. So first few shlokas are glorification of this person called Yashoda. This whole pastime, this whole month is dedicated to hearing who is Mother Yashoda in the form of a mother of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is an amazing devotee who has power and control over the Supreme Absolute Truth. Bhaktya Vashyata. That's what we are saying. So she is being described. So don't think it is some ordinary woman being described. I also sometimes doing this. Very similar to Mother Yashoda. And sometimes some people are even thinking like that. I may be, who knows, I may be the Mother Yashoda. So foolish. You don't know. That's why it's being described here. Who is Mother Yashoda? So it starts with saying, Ye kada grihadashishu, one day. Acharya's commentaries, one day this thing happened like that. What? Grihadashishu. All the household servants were preparing and busy for something else. That was for Indra Yajna, which is going to happen the next day. Everybody is very busy. And Yashoda is hearing complaints already a lot that my son is going and stealing butter. She's always trying to sort it out in her head. Why is he doing this? Like yesterday evening we were hearing, why is he eating mud? I gave him a full tiffin box of wonderful things. Why did he go and eat mud? It's very bewildering and full of anxiety. She's constantly in anxiety because of Krishna. And Krishna keeps her anxious also, purposely, for the Leela. So she's in anxiety, always thinking. So she's wondering, why is he? There must be some reason why is he doing this. So she thought, today I'll do it myself. I'll make the butter myself and feed him. Let's see. Maybe what they are doing is not really good enough. Prabhupada is saying in the purport. She found that's not good enough, and so she herself is making the butter. And there's a brilliant description of this. That Nanda Maharaj had 9 lakh cows. He had 9 lakh cows. And there were 8 cows that were specially kept in Yashoda Mai's house. They were very special cows. And their names are also there and their color is also there. And each one will give one type of flavored milk. And they are taken for grazing in a particular place in Govardhan and other places, where they eat Padmagandha grass. Grass that will give the flavor of lotus. Lotus flower. Like that milk will automatically come. Nothing artificially flavored. It's all coming produced. The cows are producing, I want to give flavored milk for Krishna. All they have to think is that, and they'll make sure they give it. So Yashoda Mai is selected the cows and keeping, and she's getting it milked, and she's getting the milk. She's making the yogurt, and she has decided, I will myself take the butter out. She's decided all this. And while doing all these things, she's 24 hours completely 100% Krishna conscious. So Ekada Grihadashishu, that particular day when the Grihadashi, Griha means house, Dashishu means servant maids, when they had some other things to do, she took it upon herself. Yashoda Nandagehini, Yashoda, the queen of Nanda Maharaj. Karmantara Niyuktasu, because they all had other things to do, being engaged, the Dashisu. She churned Nirmamanta Swayam Dadi. Dadi means yogurt. And Nirmamanta means she took the churning rod and did it herself. Swayam, she did. Very important to know. She is doing it for Krishna. Swayam Dadi means Nane Sapadadikaga. Swayam Swaha we are doing for ourselves without offering to the Lord. It is not that. Swayam Dadi means I am making it for the Lord. I am doing it for the Lord. Right? That is very important to know. Swayam means it's not a sense of false ego. Here. It is a sense of offering of service. To say that I did this devotional service is one thing. I desired to do that devotional service is another thing. They are two different things. Right? In a preliminary stage of devotion, we always say, I did it. I haven't seen devotees. I only preached to him and made him a devotee. Wow, what a statement. Powerful statement. I only preached to him, made him a devotee, and now he is acting very big. We never knew that. This is one thing. The other thing is, you can look at Prabhupada's Jaladuta diary. You have brought me here. I don't know why you have brought me here. I am called Bhakti Vedanta. I have neither Bhakti nor I know the Veda properly. So you have some plan. You can use me how you want. I am your puppet. I desire to be your puppet, and I desire to satisfy you, and I must do what you want me to do. Please allow me to do what you want me to do so that you'll be happy with me. That is devotional service. That is called Swarupa. Prabhupada describes this in the Nectar of Devotion. That a desire to be used by Krishna. That's the same thing that Krishna told Arjuna. Nimittamatram bhavasavyasachin. He did not say, you do and you take credit. For you it is good chance to become famous. Although he told him in the second chapter that Akirtir karam Arjuna, you lose fame if you don't fight. He's trying to motivate him materially. But in the 10th and 11th you will see he says, Nimittamatram bhavasavya sachan. Simply become my instrument. Don't worry about anything else. Are you willing to become my instrument? Only then can I work through you. I don't force you to do it. I don't force you. Are you willing? So the real thing is, Swayam Dadi here means she is completely willing to give herself to Krishna. That is the meaning of it. And with that feeling, she is churning the yogurt, making butter. I am yours. I am simply wanting to do with every activity of mine, I want to please you, make you happy. Right? And I'm very happy that I'm engaged. Somehow by your mercy. If it is not for your mercy, I'll never be engaged in Krishna consciousness. That is a mood of acceptance of service. So a devotee in that mood is able to accept any amount of service. Because he knows he is not the doer. He is simply an instrument. These are all very important things to know. So, nirmamanta swayam dadhi means that is the mood prevailing in Yashoda. Not only that, this is internally her mood. The next shloka says externally what she is doing. Yani, yani, gitani. She is singing. Outside, singing. There's a very wonderful description of the beauty of Yashoda. Her motherly beauty, maternal beauty. Very nicely described. Tad bala charitani cha. What she was singing? She is singing about Krishna. Bala charitani means about all his wonderful activities. And what Prabhupada is saying, she is singing about Trinavarta, Agasura, Shakatasura, Putana and all that, how my son killed. How my son killed? All these wonderful, just like that he killed them. She's, Putana, 1-year-old he killed. Agasura, Bakasura, all of them he is killed. So, she's not doing hero worship of her son actually. The Gopas do hero worship. They say, wow, wonderful, he did it. They'll maybe blow the whistle and jump and dance, our hero. But Mother Yashoda is proud of her son's activities because they are so thrilling. They are so wonderful, they are so beneficial to everybody in Vrindavan. She's keeping away all the he's keeping away all the demons. And somehow or the other he does it. Somehow or the other he does it. So she's very amazed. And at the same time she's full of affection because my son is my son. So she's singing the glories of her son. It's not like, you should not immediately think it is similar to me. My son also, I love him very much. I've got great affection for my son. And my son is also good. He is working in Microsoft. He is working in Google. And he is like that. He studied a lot and we did this and all that. That's also true. But it's not to be mapped. It may be parallel, but it cannot be mapped. It's not something that you can map on it. We all have affection for our kith and kin, but the affection of Yashoda Mai is for the supreme absolute truth, Krishna, who has come as her son. And she's eternally the mother. And he's always having this relationship with her son and mother relationship. That is their eternal relationship. So, Janani, mother of Lord Krishna, Krishna Janani, Smaranti Tani Agayata, she is thinking about him. And the description, if you read, you will know, if you read the physical description, then you will know why she is both inside and outside the same. The thing about it, we can be one thing inside and one thing outside. But what is inside is what you see outside in the spiritual world. There's no inside outside. It's fully spiritual. Krishna is spiritual from the tip of the finger to the tip of his toe. He is not material body outside and spirit soul inside. Similarly, Yashoda Mai is same thing inside as she is outside. She's a devotee inside, completely absorbed. And similarly, outside also she is completely absorbed. And that description is given. Kshaumam vasaha pritukati tate bibrati sutranadham putra sneha snutakucha yugam jatakampam cha subruhu rajva akarsha shamabhujak chalat kankanau kundala chale swinnam vaktram kabara vigalan malati nirmamanta. Dressed in a saffron yellow sari with a belt tied around her full hips, Mother Yashoda pulled on the churning rope, laboring considerably, her bangles and earrings moving and vibrating, and her whole body shaking. Because of her intense love for her child, her breasts were wet with milk, her face with its very beautiful eyebrows was wet with perspiration, and malati flowers were falling from her hair. It's mentioned that the malati flowers on her hair thought that she's so absorbed in Krishna. She's so fully Krishna conscious. What am I doing sitting on top of her hair? I should be at her feet. And so they all started falling down at her feet. Because in the spiritual world, everything is spiritually conscious. So the malati flowers also were thinking so, that why should I sit on the head of such a person who's so absorbed in Krishna? I should be under her feet. So they all started falling down. And she was, it's described here, she was churning and her head was also moving and she's singing. And so because of that shake, all the flowers also fell down. That's what is mentioned here. And it is also mentioned here that she pulled the churning rope, laboring considerably, her bangles and earrings moving and vibrating her whole body. Very depicting. This is Sukadeva Goswami, 16-year-old Sukadeva Goswami sitting on the asan and speaking about Yashoda Mai in Vrindavan, that this is how she was doing. So what a clear picture he must be having. Just see that he's sitting somewhere in the forest and we are hearing what he has described. That is the only way we are coming to know what happened and how Yashoda Mai was looking. So Shukadeva Goswami is describing. And he's so clear, up to the sari, up to the flowers falling down, how he must have heard the Bhagavatam from Vyasadeva. Right? So he's describing very beautifully how Yashoda is wearing a saffron sari. Not because she's a sannyasini. She's wearing a saffron sari, and that has got a meaning also behind. She is completely absorbed in Krishna. She's totally absorbed in Krishna and she's fully decorated because she's a queen. Normally, queen will not sit and do this. The odd thing is, she is doing it. Why? It's my son. I am doing it for him. I must personally do it. I must personally do it. Service to Krishna is something that we must personally do. It's a very confidential relationship matter. So we have to personally do certain things. We can't outsource it. Many other things we can outsource. Devotional service is meant for you to develop your devotion. So you can't outsource this, and my bhakti will come out. No, it doesn't work like that. It's personally done. So she is personally doing seva. Although she is a queen, she is personally doing it. Our devotional service to Krishna is our personal responsibility. We can't outsource it to anybody else. We have to have that bhava, get that feeling, and with full emotion, attachment, connection and relationship, render that service. Service is not something only external. Service is not only what you physically achieve by moving matter from one to the other or transforming it or doing something. It has also got a deep root right inside from your heart. It's come from the heart. It's not coming from the head. We all live off the head most of the time. That's why life becomes very dry. Life becomes very dry because mostly we live off the head and the mind, and sometimes out of the body. This is what we live. But we don't live off the heart. And devotional service is only through the heart. It's done only through the heart. That is why you become fully linked from inside out with a sense of great feeling. That's why it moves you from deep inside. Even if you start doing it from outside, it has got an effect to go deep inside you. That's why it's called sadhana. Sadhana means you are doing it without it coming out of your heart. But you're doing it because you should do it. Because you should do it. But what that does to you is awakens your love from inside. And you get connected to what you're doing. Right? You get connected to what you're doing. That is why Krishna is telling, Namam sadhayati yogo. It is not by sadhana alone that you get me. You also have to have emotion for me. If you awaken your love for me. So these are important aspects when you observe the description given here. That she is doing it herself means, of course, it's got to do with me and my relationship with Krishna. So each one of us has to have a service by which we can express ourselves to Krishna. This is my offering to you from my heart, with all the labor of love, with everything that I have at my disposal. I am performing this. So that's what Yashoda is doing. And while she is doing this, description of her whole self is also given. I will read the next verse also, which is very interesting. Tam sanyakama asadya matnantim jananim harihi grihi tvadhadi mantanam nasethat pritimabahan. By the time Krishna has got up, she is very busy singing and churning the yogurt and completely absorbed. But who comes? The person whom she is very absorbed in comes to disturb her churning. So it's actually not a disturbance. You see, if she is doing it for Krishna, completely absorbed in Krishna, and Krishna comes there, because he knows she is fully absorbed in me, I must be there. So he is coming there. And then it's very interesting that is mentioned here. He was sleeping within the room, and slowly she got up and came away to do her duties. Like that. But actually when Krishna got up, he got very angry. Why did you leave me and go? He is mentioned there. Jiva Goswami is mentioning in the Gopal Jampu. How dare you leave me alone and go? See what I'll do now. When he climbs down the bed and comes with the, his hair, lock of hair, jumping like that, and he comes there in a feeling, he left me alone in the room. And then he comes there and then he holds the churning rod, Mantan. He is holding it to stop. Your business is to attend to me. Why did you leave me and go? That's why he's mentioned Grihitva Dadi Mantanam. He held it with his hand and stopped it spinning around. He stopped it and said, stop it. You seem to be very absorbed in that. I am the person you should be absorbed in. I want your attention. Children come to take your attention. They don't like that you're giving attention to anybody else or anything else. You can see that. If the mother is watching TV or the mother is busy in the phone, the child will come and take the phone. Look at me. I want your attention. And you must give it. You must give it. It's being asked for. It's for the growth of the child. So your attention should be on Krishna. Sometimes even our attention is not on Krishna, but it is on our service. You know what it is? Your attention is not on Krishna, but it is on our service. So much we are busy with the so-called service that we forget Krishna also. You understand? See how it is? We get so busy, we get angry, then what the hell am I doing here? It's supposed to be devotional service. What am I doing? Well, go off, take off somewhere. to be rooted, to be rooted in Krishna and reach out from inside out to do your service. That is ideal. That is shown here by Yashoda. That is shown here by Yashoda. She's absorbed. And for her, it's not a disturbance if Krishna has come. So I don't get disturbed by anything that happens to me if I'm absorbed in Krishna, in my Krishna consciousness. If I'm doing service and this happens to me, I said, why are you stopping my service? It's not that. That's not the way. It is, I'm doing for this purpose only. It's immediately recognized. It's immediately recognized. So Krishna, it's mentioned, he came and stopped her from, why? I want to now start one very interesting Leela with you. Churning, stop. Stop churning, because I'm going to break it very soon. I am not only going to stop this churning rod, I am also going to break the pot very soon. Interesting Leela is going to take place now. So he's stopping. Then she is immediately putting everything down and taking the child on her lap. As soon as Krishna comes, she's taking child on the lap and she breastfeeds Krishna. That we will read later. Tam ankam arudam apayayat stanam snehasnutam sasmitam ikshati mukham atriptam utsrijya javena sa yayav utsichyamane payasi tva adishrite. Mother Yashoda then embraced Krishna, allowed him to sit down on her lap and began to look upon the face of the Lord with great love and affection. Because of her intense affection, milk was flowing from her breast. But when she saw that the milk on the oven was boiling over, she immediately left her son to take care of the overflowing milk. Although the child was not yet fully satisfied with drinking the milk of his mother's breast. So we will read that in subsequent days. So these are some of the wonderful descriptions given of Mother Yashoda and her deep meditation. And what it means, each one of her activities, what do they mean? And how they are very relevant to our Krishna consciousness development. And what is the meaning of meditation on Krishna? So when she is churning yogurt like this, we can know that she is the greatest of all yogis. Better than the best yogi, able to get the greatest mystic power in the Himalayas or somewhere. Is Mother Yashoda a yogi or not? Yoginam api sarvesham madgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo matah. Is she a yogi or not? She's not having a long beard. She's not sitting in the Himalayas. She's not sitting in Om, meditating somewhere into this thing. But according to the Bhagavatam, according to the Bhagavad Gita, she's the greatest of all yogis. And she's churning yogurt. And she's very well dressed, looks very beautiful, and she's full of motherly love. And this is the description of the greatest of all yogis, as per Bhagavatam. It's not that conventional. When we talk about a yogi, immediately we are thinking of certain things. But Mother Yashoda is the greatest of all yogis. Why? She's fully absorbed in Krishna. Dhyana avastita tadgatena manasa pashyanti yam yoginaha. That full dhyana, absorption in Krishna. And so deep is the absorption that Krishna himself comes to savor it, to actually taste it. Om Tat Sat. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Nittai Gaura Premanande. Any question or comment? That's a lousy situation in Kali Yuga. what to do? That's the situation. We are all going out and taking a job to get our little food. Prabhupada regretted that so much in his purports. He said we should have our own self-sufficient arrangement for our devotees to, take prasadam. Food is available free. Food is available free. Actually, Krishna has given it free. But these rascals are taking out of that and charging us for it. That's the whole point. What is free, you leave it free. You charge for anything that you are actually doing. Food is not, supposed to be charged for. So everybody should get living resources free. Basic necessities for everybody. If they get it free, then you will never go to work. You don't have to work. That's the catch. That's the catch. That's why in a demoniac civilization, you will be asked to do things which you don't really need to do. And we have to accept that we are in such a situation. And we have been educated in that category. And we have been conditioned also according to that. And we like to do that also. We have also attachment for that. Because we don't know anything else. That's okay, that is preaching. That's an external thing. That is outreach. In your in-reach, you should not think like that. You see? Prabhupada did so many things externally, which he was not at all like that internally. Obviously. Obviously. He said so many wonderful things about his movement and about devotees and this and how it is great, it is this and all that. Which is the truth, of course. But things were different. Things were different. For the sake of propagating Krishna consciousness, we have to. Even Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita. He's telling Arjuna, don't disturb them, leave them. You do what you're supposed to do, because if you don't do right, they'll all do the same thing like you. This is external instruction he's giving. World is watching you, and their Krishna consciousness chances will be disturbed if you don't do certain things. Understanding the psychology of the people. Krishna is saying that. What is that shloka? Na buddhi bhedam janayat. That shloka. They don't know the difference. Na buddhi bhedam janayat. So you don't do. Agyana tena muhyanti jantava. I'm not remembering the shlokas now. Anybody knows that shloka? Na buddhi bhedam janayat. Krishna is advising. You should conduct yourself in such a way that they will also do the right things. Because they are watching you. Yad yad acharati shreshtas tat tat devetaro janaha. Better. And even I am doing. Name partasi kartavyam trishulokeshu kinchana. I don't have any kartavya. I have no duty inside this material world. Still I am doing also. See? You must also do. Why? People are watching. This is preaching. Even Krishna is preaching. And he's telling I am doing certain things because these fellows are watching. I cannot go and now just casually do certain things like God. I'm also doing. So sometimes we do, but for ourselves, we have certain internal principles that we follow. So that gets accentuated in Kali Yuga. It becomes glaringly visible. But that's why Krishna consciousness is an internal cultivation. You can never say what the person is inside from what he is doing outside. Isn't it? You cannot judge so fast. That's why there is a nice shloka in the Chaitanya Charitamrita says, what is it? Nityananda, if you see Nityananda coming out of a bar, you must know that he has very well gone there only for preaching. The word used is not bar, but it says if he is coming out of a place, this thing. You must know very well, of course you will know very well, that he went there only to preach. He went there to preach. So a devotee cannot be judged by his external activity. Should not be, though we tend to do. That's our own problem. I hope that answers your question to some extent at least. Any other question or comment? Yeah. Nobody asked you to be Yashoda. You cannot. So that is a very theoretical question. Because if you are able to do that, then Krishna will take care of everything else. So it's a very theoretical question. Yashoda is able to do that, and Krishna is taking care of everything else for him, for her. So how will it be like that? Everything will be adjusted. That is not your problem, actually. The problem is not how will Krishna do it. That's not the problem. The problem is, will you do it? Will you 24 hours a day do it? That seems to be a bigger problem. Well, how to do everything, all material activities, that's not a big problem at all for Krishna. You don't have to worry at all. Devotees don't worry about those type of things. Biggest worry is how I will do, even for 1 hour, 1 minute, how will I be Krishna conscious? It's the other way around that we should think. You understand? So Krishna did everything for the Pandavas. He sat there with them and strategized the whole thing. And, was the charioteer for Arjuna. What he did not do for the Pandavas. They did not think that, who will do if we... Nothing like that they thought. They thought, whatever you say, we'll listen. They were fully surrendered to Krishna. So was Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Krishna only did, he said. The grace of my Guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he is doing. And it is true. It is just that Prabhupada's conviction, his faith, his adherence, his full faith and his desire, that worked. That actually worked. The rest is easy to do for Krishna. So, should turn it around the other way on us and see, are we doing what Krishna wants us to do? Other thing is a matter of detail for Krishna. That is conviction. Any other question or comment? Om Tat Sat. Jai Shri